This is the regular meeting of the Bethany Board of Finance being held September 9th, 2025 in the Selectmen's Conference Room. At this meeting present so far are commission board members, Martha Azarisi, Sally Heiser, Katie Erickson, and me, Sharon Huxley. I'm the chair. In addition, we have our first selectman, Sal Amadeo. We have our finance director, Leslie Ruby, and we have recording for us. We have a Anderson. That was her. Okay, so the first thing on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak? You would be online because there are no members of the public here. How will we know?
Yeah, you click the participants at the bottom.
No, it's just us.
Yeah, okay, just as. Okay. So we'll move on. We have the minutes from May 13th to review, and that was a hybrid meeting. Present were Huxley, Heiser, Azarisi, and Erickson, and that happens to be the same group present tonight. So we are able to review these minutes. I tried to remember why this. So was it just that we didn't have the right?
We did not have the right combination of people present at the last meeting to approve them.
Okay. Did anyone see any corrections that needed to be made? I have a motion to approve, so that I make the motion. Okay, thank you, Martha. The motion, do I have a second? Second. Motion and a second. I didn't see anything, but that was last month that I reviewed it. None, those in favor, approve it. So it was unanimous, the vice president. The second set of minutes is the minutes of the July 22nd. We have a special meeting. This is the meeting that we had when we did meetings and did not have an August meeting. And for that one present were Huxley, Azarisi, Grabowski, and the name.
Katie was virtual.
And then that would be 1, 2, 3. Why is Katie not listed?
She's listed as virtual attendance.
Yeah.
All the way
The
down.
formatting is a little weird on that.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I was gonna suggest.
Okay, yes, I think that, Jay, what we need with this one is that we need to move the part about virtual attendance, right under Board of Finance attendance, because Katie is a member. But that still does not constitute a quorum.
Right. That's just three of us.
So could I have a motion to table until October?
I'll second.
Katie and Sally. Already, the finance director should put this. I hope that that's fair.
The original packet that was posted online and was emailed to everyone with the supplemental that was emailed has numbers for fiscal year 25. It is, I hate to use this phrase, but my best guess at this moment. We are still in the process of merging the two systems. The worst case scenario is I have the expenses underestimated. But that will not impact going over budget for the year. Not all of the AP has come over yet from the other system. There was an issue with the crosswalk, which I had to back out a portion of what was done and redo it. So that's why we took the last known report from Edmonds and the known information for the fourth quarter in Munis, and we combined the two reports. So that's why I'm saying it is as accurate as I believe it can be. For now. We are anticipating having all issues resolved prior to the end of this month, because that is my target for having everything for 25 finished. That it's ready to go off to the auditors.
And this is at this point.
At this point, it is showing a surplus.
What we were limits. There were no changes, or there were changes?
No,
The photos.
the supplemental numbers that you have are the numbers in the supplemental packet are fiscal year 26 numbers from the new system. Much easier to read. The departments are grouped together much clearer, and it's both the revenue and the expenses for this year. It's showing our revenues where they should be at this time of the year. At 47% collected, which is where we should be, because our tax revenues are on page 1. It shows that we are 54% collected for this year. And that is where we should be.
And expenses. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I printed it out, but I forgot.
Now the expenses for this year are at 23%. Which not necessarily, because if you look at Amity, they are 35% spent for the year, because their first quarter payments are larger. They front load. So, and that is one of the largest drivers on the budget. There's this front loaded, where the Bethany Board of Ed, they ask for their money week by week as they need it. So right now, everything for 26 is, nothing is out of the ordinary. Everything is where it should be, nothing is out of the ordinary. The one of the, it's just a small item, but if you, like, the finance office is large. It shows that we are, our assistant board of ed, Board of Finance, 69% spent. Well, the reason for that is because of the $620,000, which was transferred to the capital fund. And that's 60% of the budget.
Questions?
So, you said something before about the 2025, you mentioned something about crosswalk, you had a backward.
Well,
I didn't understand that.
okay, a crosswalk is, you use the GLs from your old system and the GLs in the new system.
It's a map.
It's a mapping, so that you can, that way you can move all the data via Excel spreadsheets with Excel uploads. And every time you put something, every time you try to move the information over and there is a missing GL, it kicks out the entire entry. You have to start all over. The good news is it tells you which GLs are wrong, but I was not able to add the numbers into the crosswalk. I needed Tyler to do that on the back end. I didn't have access to do it. So that's the delay in getting all of the AP over into the new system.
What is the crosswalk?
It's a cross-reference.
Oh, I'm like going, I'm thinking sidewalk out there. And I'm
Well,
like,
that's what I'm like.
I'm sorry.
You were talking about cross reference, but then it was just a very specific crosswalk.
But that's, and I was thinking of this, and I'm like, what are we talking about? It makes no sense. Whatever, okay.
That's the terminology that they used when we were doing it. You know, the crosswalk. I'm like, well, where is the crosswalk? So when this comes to me, the spreadsheet that comes to me, the title of it is cross-reference. Yeah, I'm like, which terminology am I supposed to use on it? But
So, we're looking at, how much is the surplus that you're best guessing right now?
I was anticipating somewhere around 400,000. And these are all unaudited numbers. So I do have, I mean, hopefully there will be few audit adjustments, but you never know. And 98% of fiscal year 25 invoicing is done. Bills are paid. I know of 2 outstanding invoices for Park and Rec. And there is another outstanding item which we will discuss later.
And with the 2026 budget, is there, other than the finance office, is there anything else
No.
that you want to draw attention to?
The only other thing, the only other item that I want to draw your attention to is on the revenue side for this year. I believe I might have written it in, so I just want to make sure that I wrote it in before I made the photocopies. It would be,
Park and Rec side?
yes, on the Park and Rec. Was there enough on
Yeah,
it?
can you talk to that, about the credit cards, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
the credit card. All right, we have not completed the reconciliation of the credit card bank account for July and August. So that revenue has not yet been posted. Because we have been working diligently at transferring everything over from 25, from the old system in 25, and making sure that all the bank recs are complete for fiscal year 25, that they have not been done. And there is $78,000 sitting in an asset account called prepaid summer camp. That money gets transferred over after the fiscal year is closed. We do not transfer it over before we close the old year. So that money will, so there is $95,000 in revenues for summer camp that is not reflected on this report. That will be reflected on this report by November 1st.
Remind me again, summer camp is counts to the holidays, right?
Since 98% of the services are redeemed in the new fiscal year, we credit the revenue to the new fiscal year. So even though $78,000 was paid in the month of June for summer camp for July and August, it's still considered fiscal year 26 revenue because most of the camp occurred in fiscal year 26, not fiscal year 25.
So then we'll do the fiscal year close And then transfer the money
Correct.
towards.
Yes.
the Year when we're actually planning with it.
Yes.
It's an accrual in 25.
So,
And the 95, you said it was 70 something, but it's.
well, it's 78 that was prepaid.
Okay.
And then the balance was collected in July and August.
Right.
Yeah, that's what gets me to the 95. So then there's two sheets of transfers. The one on the original packet. Well, let's start with the ones on the supplemental. These are known transfers that are needed for fiscal year 25. It's the top page on the supplemental. The police part-time line is over budget. Primarily due to just increased patrol time, particularly at Vets Park. Because Dave was receiving a lot of complaints throughout the year of unregistered cars, out of town cars, no one would have the placard to be at Vets Park. So they spent more time patrolling the area, and he just had them out on the streets in town more last year than he had budgeted for. So that ran over, so I'm asking for a transfer from contingency to cover that. And
Shall we do them one at a time?
Okay, there's some in there.
there's an error on that, so that's okay.
Would someone please move that we transfer $7,499.50 from contingency to police part-time for this motion?
Second, yeah.
Okay.
You consider. They can consider that the budget. The increase.
Yeah.
Or. Maybe. If it continues to grow, then we think of a different way to solve this.
Okay.
But.
Those in favor? Next one.
The next one is $19.90 from contingency to, this is where there's a typo on it. I did not change the account title, it's Regional Growth Partnership. The GL number is correct. The title of the account is wrong. Partnership.
And that's a special.
It's not special events, it's Regional Growth Partnership. It's the problem when you use the same form and you just change the date and the account.
Could I have a motion?
I'll second.
Is there anything else?
Katie, and then
For
Sarah.
$20. But that department, that whole grouping is over budget by the $20.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And
Then I'm looking to have $432.92 moved from EMD office supplies and $1,137.92 from EMD communications to fire marshal office supplies and communications. Fire marshal is over budget. He shares a physical office with the EMD, so I'm not sure if the expenses were properly attributed to fire marshal or EMD during the year. Something that we have to pay closer attention to, because they had them combined, they were combined initially, and then we split them into two different departments. And we caught several during the year where they were using, where one of the individuals was using the wrong GL to pay for his expenses.
Oh, you think it's possible? What is an example of the communication read?
It would be cell phones, iPads, data for devices, yeah.
would I have a motion?
I'll take the motion.
Martha and second.
Okay.
Okay. It seems like it's almost so we could just split them, and yet what we found was when they were together, they were both spending as if the entire budget belonged to them, instead of that they were sharing. So, why not sharing this one? Yes, center space.
Yeah. You know, and the office supplies, I mean, that's very simple. I mean, if they ran, I mean, if they went through 2 sets of toner during the year, there should have been one charged to each, and they probably were both charged to one of them.
The record should show that.
Parties will.
That attorney will just join.
Then the second group of transfers that I have are actually for fiscal year 26. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I thought we did.
All right, do we have any?
I just feel like we need some, maybe look at controls, maybe look at controls for this, like that's.
There, the things, there have been, I think, 3 different people that so they can split the job, right?
Yes.
So that. It's not the overall. I have a vote on that, those in favor?
Hi.
The second group of transfers were labeled item 4A, A2 in the original packet. They are for fiscal year 26. The first item, I will own it. It was my error. When we set forth the budget, we used the wrong basis for 2 of the members of the town clerk's office. They had received their certification last year, so their pay rates were bumped up. But when we transferred everything over into the budget worksheets, we used their original salary, not their increased salary. So they are budgeted for this year because of the error I made during budget season. So I'm leaving the decision up to the board where you would like to take that money from. If you want to take it from contingency or the certified increases from this year's budget. The contingency has the normal 150,000 in it, and the certified increases has 15,000 in it. That's what we budget.
This was because of certifications.
It was because of certifications, but their certifications happened in fiscal year 25. But the fiscal year 26 budget did not reflect their certified rates when we did the salary adjustments.
And if we were to take it from certified increases, then that would be reducing what's available if other people.
Correct.
Okay, then I would suggest. It takes 18 minutes on. But I have a motion to transfer. Contingency to the town clerk and part-time clerk lines, is it? I'll make that. And Martha? I'll second. Thank you, Sally. Okay.
Only discussion I have is, what are our assumptions for the certified increases? There's certain like people that we've identified that we're on a plan to get a certification.
Yes, they both obtained their town clerk certification last year, and with that certification, they were given a bump in pay.
No,
Which,
I
yes.
understand other future ones.
Yeah, but yes, I mean, if individuals receive some type of certification, then yes, that's why we have that budget line so that we can give increases, and that's all, it's all subject to to the position and the certification obtained.
I put it all in one line, so we didn't have to budget in each department or anticipate. My note.
Each department basically told us what they thought was going to happen
Yes.
with certification, and we put that number in.
Yes,
I will, do you have a plan of who's on track to get a certification? Or do you?
No,
Jen would be the person to answer that.
Okay.
I know that she did reviews with everyone, and so I would assume that would include. I'm assuming that would include discussions, but we can find out.
All right, so next time, then we get it forward.
Then.
the second one,
So,
Katie's derailing me with her additional questions, but that's okay. They're good questions, and all things that we need to keep on the radar.
so those in favor? That passes.
All right, $2,000 from contingency to special events. The Board of Selectmen have approved front money for the 250th celebration committee.
I didn't know we had a special events line.
We don't.
Oh, you're kidding.
The joys of the system, I can create a new line for it. And I'm putting it in the grouping where, the Harvest Festival would fall.
What's their seat?
It's their CED money. Correct.
Not even heard of that. And then at the Board of Selectmen meeting last week was.
the bell.
They are. They're awesome. That's what they want to write. Cowbells, their official 250th anniversary. Apparently that company was actually formed in 1775. It's a Connecticut company, and they're going to have kind of benefit in addition to the national logo. Bethany celebrates America, and they're going to celebrate. Hopefully they'll have one by the Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
So for perhaps not seriously, but then again, some of us are legal. Can you imagine everybody at a town meeting has a cowbell?
Yeah, like, I might call up in the right off day.
Okay.
Just the vineyard, I'll just park the window. When they want it.
They were wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very well. Could someone make the motion to actually fund this?
And this is for $2,000 for the special event.
Continues.
You want this? I'll second.
Okay. Discussion. All in favor? So,
What's the price of a for all the transfers?
yes.
Yes, because what I'm trying to do is I am trying to, let you know where we stand month by month when money is needed from contingency. Okay.
What is this? Transfers to capital reserve. Yep, there you go. There's something else there. And we get a certificate. I'm going to certificate in school.
Well, I don't know if everyone noticed, but the sidewalks were redone over the summer.
Yeah.
And the stairs and sidewalks were redone in the front of the building. They were a little nervous that it wouldn't get done because they only started around the 10th of August, but they got it done. And I do know that they are still researching and looking into potential HVAC upgrades.
Were the sidewalks in budget or were they?
Yeah, they're in their budget.
Yeah, they were in theirs. Yes.
HVAC was not an anticipated
No.
issue. But they told us.
We talked about it.
Yes, we
Yeah,
talked
I mean,
about it.
one of the reasons why it's kind of in there as an informational item is so that I don't lose track of it, because Kay had said it is possible that they will, that what they need to do for upgrades on the school could be large enough that it may need bonding. That's why I'm keeping it on here, so that it stays kind of in everyone's forefront, so that we don't lose sight of it in the event we have to do that process.
Next is grants.
I wanted to ask a question, for the next meeting. Can we put an update on like the capital, portfolio and all the projects that are going on with these, like that?
And where did the sidewalk come from? I mean,
This
what
one out
budget?
here?
Yeah.
This was part of the HUD. It was part of, the DeLauro HUD grant. And the front steps and the railing out front will be repaired yet as well.
Lane Grant?
Mhm.
Grants.
Nothing really new to report there. Most of the work is complete on the HUD grant. As I said, the steps out front, that's the main area that is not complete.
And how much, what percentage of our costs been reimbursed?
They have been doing a wonderful job reimbursing us. I'm trying to think what's left on the grant. I believe there's less than $250,000 of work left on the $1 million grant. And everything has been reimbursed except for the last check that was issued, and that was under $10,000.
Oh, that we issued, not that they issued, okay.
Correct.
So they're up to date, everything.
And they are up to date. With that grant, we do not have to submit on a quarterly basis. We can submit that on a weekly basis. So when we have data to submit, we submit it, and the turnaround time has been remarkably short on actually receiving the payment after we submit. And it has surprised us all. It's been quite quick. It's been averaging less than 30 days. Turnaround time on it.
Yeah. Work on that trouble farm.
What is that, the B3?
Okay,
Have they heard?
we have not heard anything yet. The Solid Waste and Recycling Committee submitted a grant for the composting. That is correct. And that is I just want to it on everyone's radar that is a reimbursement grant if it is awarded. So we will have to front the money for that to be reimbursed.
And this public works steep is done?
It is almost complete. The work is complete. We're waiting for the final sign offs from the architect involved with it to make sure everything was done according to the plans that he had. That's what we're waiting on, so that we can close that out.
The, solid waste grant, that one has to go to the town meeting. If it's awarded.
Yes, because they will have to appropriate the funds to front the money for it.
Well, even if they're not, because it would end up being part of it with it. But not yet, because it's still in the review process. And I think it is not actually awarded to 27, fiscal 27.
Yeah, I don't think, the awards are coming out until we at least get into 2026.
We only found out after, even though we had a meeting and remember we discussed the whole project and everything. And talked about the fact that the operating expenses were be running a deficit once it was actually installed and running. But, and that would need town budget approval, but at the time, we didn't know that it was a reimbursement grant. Like, you know, but that's part of why we desperately need that grant committee that has those standards of what you have to do, who has to review it, so that we know these things, because I was gonna have to come up with the money. This. Where to go. Anyway. But I hope that, I don't know whether they've heard anything back, because they were in a period of time where there could be questions, like where the reviewers could ask them questions and they could modify. And we really haven't heard anything.
The final proposal was submitted, but we have not heard anything yet as to whether or not we will receive the funding.
What, do we know, like, we have to, when we do it in increments, like we did the, HUD grant that we're working with, you know what I mean?
We don't know. And we know that there were elements of what they were asking, you know, the individual types of projects that they needed, that they were putting it all together for. So that might be possible if, once they know what they're getting, how much it's gonna be, which parts of it are going to be approved. Then I would guess that that would be a good way to do it. That's actually the way we did it with the HUD grant.
Yeah, because I know that but there was substantial money. I mean, it was only $100,000 grant, if I recall correctly. But a portion of that was education, was funding for education. So, I mean, that's kind of simple. It's like, how often are they going to have seminars on what to do and mailings for what to do? So that's a staggered cost on it. And then there was the purchase of the supplies, so that would all happen at one time, obviously, so that everyone could have all the material at the same time. But I'm sure that there is a phase in of some of there's multiple phases to it, so I'm sure that there would be, we could do a phase in of the cost on it.
In a phase, in the reimbursement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Moving on to the control and sustainability issues, mostly this. Well, I guess the question is, do we want to do with this particular thing tonight? Have you had a chance to review it? For some reason, all the refund policies.
Briefly,
Briefly.
So do we want to talk about it tonight, or do we want to wait?
Maybe give a really quick overview, so that if there's additional information that people want, because, I'm not, Sally, are you familiar with this thing that we're trying to do?
No.
Well, one of the things that has come up is, if someone pays for a service, how much money should they be entitled to on a refund if they back out of a deal? In particular with Park and Rec, if the website clearly states that if you were using a credit card, that 3% fee is charged by the third party. The town does not pay for, does not receive that money. So therefore, it cannot be refunded if we have to cancel the program. You will get the cost of the, you will get your $300 registration fee back, but you're not going to get that 3% fee back on a refund. It's just not going to happen. So then but the same question was raised then about all the other departments. What do they do? I mean, especially with the land use office, they collect a lot of fees. I mean, they collect the permit fees, but there are fees on all those permits that have to go to the state. Every-
It's educational fees or what, right?
Right, the educational fees, and every zoning permit that is issued, $58 goes to the state. Now, if,
Well, whether it's issued or not, it's every application.
correct, every application, so, and if you're going to be refunding an application fee, that should be less that fee that we've already had to pay to the state, because the state's not gonna refund it to us.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, building permits, the education fee, so that's all collected in addition. But that money shouldn't be refunded to the resident pulling, deciding that they're not going to go through with the project. But the other question comes in there is that, the time, the cost of time for the employees to process the permit and then process the refund. So should that individual be entitled to a 100% refund, or should it be a smaller dollar amount? Should it be, say, a 90% refund? I mean, I don't know. So that's what we are trying to establish, something that's within state statute and the law, but yet also reasonable.
Mhm.
So that's the goal. That's what we're trying to accomplish here.
Doesn't happen a lot.
The Lena issues more refunds in the building department than I have experienced in the past.
Really.
Yes. Yes. But I mean, she has put a lot of thought into what she would like to do for a refund policy, and I know she circulated her desires with the commissions. I just don't know where it stands. And then the tax collector, obviously, statute dictates how those refunds are issued.
Right.
And
So this is her proposal and she's just waiting for the approval.
yes,
of the Board of
that's
Commissioners.
correct. So, I mean, but we have been talking about making sure that, there's policies, procedures, and controls in place for anything that revolves around money.
Mhm.
So that's why we kind of put this together so that we can put some eyes on it and offer suggestions if there was something missing from the department heads.
I think the land use, it's the zoning and supervision, and what's probably have to be written into the regulations in order to go into effect. At least that used to be part of the regulations. Especially because they run things where they need to have outside reviews. And if we have to pay an engineering firm, for example, $5,000 to do a review of a major subdivision project, if the abandoned partway through, their regulations say you don't get that back, that part of it, because the town has already paid for these services. So that things have to be, they have to be. Sal, would you have time to go over these and maybe have us revisit it next?
Yeah, that would be good. My first question is, have we checked with other municipalities? Do they have a similar policy in place?
I know from history, it may have changed in the last 4 years, okay? But Southbury used to refund park and rec programs minus a $15 or $25 process. Building permits, 85% of the permit was refunded. We did, like, that's, you,
Yeah.
it was $100 permit, you got $85 back.
Might not be at all inappropriate, now that we finally have something to look at, to also get information to compare.
I think Alina's is pretty well written.
It is.
I think it's the best one of the bunch. Other ones are,
Yep.
are not written for a legacy. That's the only feedback I have, is like, I don't.
Well, I mean, the tax are straight out of, the state statutes.
Which are not
So
necessarily.
there's nothing that we can do there, but I still wanted, but I still wanted to have you see what it was. So, I mean, because I asked all the department heads for what they were doing in their department, and that's what she provided, so.
So maybe the thing is for all of us to look, or you just solicit comparisons from comparable information from comparable size towns, if you can get that done. And if we have any questions, additional information we want, we can let you know.
Table this?
Yeah, and table this until.
Because the one that's not in here is Park and Rec, because when I had reached out for this, there wasn't a director in place.
So,
So, so there isn't one, but I will reach out to Nicole for her suggestions for that.
I think that they're a group that might have quite a bit of refund. You know,
Yeah.
like,
yes,
you know, they deal with a lot of transactions.
and it can change, people's plans change, or circumstances change.
Correct. So, and maybe what I will do is I will, give everyone Lena's draft, so that they have, you know, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for something comprehensive like this.
According to state statutes.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's nothing we can do with the tax. That is, I mean, that one is what it is.
But it may be something that's gonna take more than one go around to.
Maybe your little project from now until then year maybe.
What I think is helpful is to realize that having a standard approach is not gonna work because of due to the special circumstances in each department.
I think each department having their own policy, it's okay, as long as it's like.
As long as we. The thing is that things were not written down, when things are not written down. Other things happen.
Correct.
So, we will table this until. Alright, is there any update that you're aware of that we should know about from Jen on
The only thing,
I would guess she hasn't had a chance, but.
I mean, I just added the second update in there is because there's been a lot of confusion. In regards to what is exempt overtime under the new tax law. And it is the premium portion that is exempt. It is not, I mean, you work 2 hours of overtime, you will be taxed on your 2 hours of regular pay. It's that tax, it's that extra piece that is excluded from tax. And there are some individuals that thought all their overtime pay was going to be excluded.
So they just didn't know how picky accountants record over. But we already have that.
Correct, but there is an update that they are going to have to do within our payroll system to separate that information out.
payroll system.
The payroll system doesn't know what is premium versus what is. But it has to be reflected on the W-2s. And it's retroactive to January 1.
25.
Yes. Yeah, so it's a process, but there's time to get it done before W-2s, but it's just something that they have to do, that they're working
But it has no impact on this group.
on. It has no impact at all, it's just a W-2 impact.
Alright. So the overtime, I thought we generally, instead of overtime, we provide, extra.
Reports.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Other.
I have another.
Okay, go ahead.
It's just, I remember when we were putting together the budget, there was, Lena had some software that she wanted to get, but she was sort of stuck because she didn't want to say she didn't have information. But, I was wondering if someone could help her grab her arms around her.
I offered to help you and, and she said, sure, she would love to have help because she was pulling RFPs that were not related to what she needed. And so I think that she wasn't familiar with that process, but, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure where we stand either. Yes.
Part of it was, whether it was going to be something limited or a broader scale, something that intersected with other systems.
Right.
I think it was evaluating the requirements, like,
You know, what's your purview?
Yeah, it would definitely be an R.
Oh, yes, yeah. And there is a vendor that serves like 2/3 of the town.
Opened up.
In,
Open to go, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little pricey.
well, that was really work, but I don't know. After what we've gone through with accounting systems, I thought we should go with the one that's gonna work, that we know is gonna work.
Right.
But even if it's more expensive, because otherwise we would end up doing what we have been doing with the accounting system. 12 years, I think we had 6. Remind me where we probably should have started it.
Yeah, it's just more expensive.
Yes, that's it. Budget reminded. I said that's.
Well, reach out to, Nina tomorrow. And see, if we can get that going.
And I'm still willing to help.
Okay.
I think part of it involved. Well, I had suggested a user that she had have a user group to find out what all the information needs might be of all the different users and integrating you can integrate the building department with the rest of the zoning permitting systems.
Right.
So.
I think that's, I think that's what they did well for the use open.
And it integrates with things. So that's the, what's called Gov, something. Oh, no.
I'm not saying, but I think that's a good idea, or not a good idea, I'm just saying that it's 2 years in a row that you
Right.
requested this in the budget, we were like completely unprepared. She was unprepared to like present it because she didn't have the right information.
Right, so let's, it's good.
Anything else under other before? I move. The MD system,
There's no other,
no,
That's the software.
oh, the software was,
the MV system achieved another $2 million surplus.
What a surprise.
But you know, in April, we didn't have a surplus.
They
This happens, well, it happens every year.
every year.
And of course, 2% of their operating budget, which was 1.2 million of the surplus, went into the non-lapsing, but now it's called an operating account. It's no longer restricted to capital.
Oh, really? It's not restricted anymore?
The state changed that a year ago
Wow. Okay.
and required everybody to change. It didn't require them to transfer what was in their capital, but any additional funds, this will be the second year, they're going into that. into the
Wow.
operating.
It is.
So we're putting all this money into a fund, just for operations, when operations are generated.
And it all, the rule change also did away with their, requirement of asking. They're just automatically entitled to do it.
Well, they can vote it themselves, the Board of Education.
They don't have to have us.
So what is that fund called now, the 1.2 million?
Now it's an operating. I don't know what the exact name is, but I will,
Operating whatever.
yeah, it's a fund that's also is for operating expenses in addition or instead of being reserved for capital.
That be used for capital also.
Well, that's a really interesting question because they called it operating.
Right. Mhm.
And the whole thing can go, or only a portion of it?
2%.
Just 2%, okay.
2%, which left a little over 800,000 that
2% of the operating,
of the original approved budget.
operating budget or total budget.
Oh, well, their total budget includes in their capitals.
Right, so, okay, so capital, yeah, total budget.
So, yeah, it's the budget, it's not really 2% of the surplus, so that makes sense.
It's called a non-lapsing.
Yeah. It's not,
It's a non-lapsing.
but it's to be used for operating,
For, yes,
it's no longer for.
OGAC 2435, for local board of education to make a deposit. And it cannot exceed 2%. There's a non-lapse. And they now have discretion.
And at the moment, there's still more money in the capital one.
Mhm.
But what they were doing was with the capital one, when they would fund it, they would right there identify which capital projects that they had in the capital projects list were going to be funded by them.
Okay.
It's for things that are not in the budget. It's an interesting logic, and what Dr. Byer said, the intent behind it is to actually, it isn't that systems like Amity need that support, but regions that are not well funded don't have, because they don't have a general fund. If they're operating close to their budget,
And they're good budgeters, aren't they?
they are, but if they have any issue, they don't have the resources to address
Madam Chair, just for correction, for district, regional schools, it's called the Reserve Fund for Educational Expenditures.
You got that?
it.
I'm gonna get it.
It's reserved,
Reserve fund.
which
For
means
educational.
to people who think, like financial people, that means you have to have spent the whole budget first before you tap the reserve.
Mm-hmm.
So that just.
Well, that ain't gonna ever happen, because they always have a surplus.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, anyway,
So what, just go to somebody's grandchildren or something? Reserve fund for educational.
purposes, expenditure.
But what we've been doing, because they also are no longer refunding surpluses. So that 841, will not be allocated back to the towns. But what it will do is it will be credited
To the next year's.
well, it will be a reduction in our March 26th payment. And our share of it is not a huge share, so. But what we've been doing is, because there's money we've already appropriated for this year, if that return is again more than what we have, then we have an allocated, what do we call it, an allocated portion of the general fund special. We set it aside, and so that we don't tax people twice, so we reduce how much we appropriate. We don't, and someday it might catch up with us, like when we end up having a greater increase than others, well, it'll catch up with us anyway. But the intent is, I'm so losing my voice. The intent is to not have to tax people every year for what the actual approved budget is, but instead only for the part that we haven't already taxed people for, which I think is fair. Or it works. The other thing that I have, I would, and this is why I'm going to basically introduce Sal to talk about it, but they said we do have an outstanding issue for fiscal 25. As I think everybody's probably aware from Board of Selectmen, is it last month, Sal?
Yes.
Where, hey, the velvet for for $225,000. And the town meeting had appropriated 75,000 for it. And these are services that have already been delivered. So this is an issue for us in terms of closing last year. It's an issue in terms of what was approved and what happened. And
What was in the contract? You know, what was in the contract as well, right? Yeah.
We will have that. The Board of Selectmen has been, and actually I guess primarily been, has been working, trying to get a reduction, and they're having some success. And at that, I'm going to turn it over to Sally. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we go into executive session?
We want just a quick overview about what's really going on.
Sure.
Okay. So we're working on a new veterans exemption for disabled veterans, the surviving spouse of a disabled veteran. The state passed a law that I think it was October 24, that the disabled veteran that passed away after October 24, they're entitled, the surviving spouse is entitled to a tax of credit for their taxes. If they pass before October 24, before the law went into effect, they're not entitled to it automatically. So we're trying to get that. We're trying to fix that. Right now, from what I can gather, if there's one person in town, and total cost of the town be about $2,000 to $3,000. We're working on that. We're working on a new initiative for seniors and disabled people, more communities. And what they do is they try and, well, we have people who need services, and so you need records taken on cut, any type of service that a senior or a disabled person may need. And we try and get volunteers to match up with that service to try and help. we're trying to make it cost about $100 per person to sign up to do background checks and so on. Fee for the cost of maintaining the software and so on. And we're trying to get that to be solely, funded by donations. So we're working on that, but something is. So we're working on RFP for labor attorney and bid for new containers and compactors for the recycling center. We're trying to, we're gonna try and do some single stream recycling there, do some of our compactors we need, maybe save some of there.
What was the first one you said? We were just,
Veterans Exemption.
oh, no, so sorry. I thought you mentioned two RFPs.
Oh, I'm sorry, the RFPs, yeah, one's for labor.
Labor attorney.
The compactors, we recently issued, they're opening up next week, 3 bids. One for tree removal, one for emergency tree removal, and one in case of the storm, we're covered with our bidding process, reimbursement and so on.
The
And one
tree removal also good?
tree removal also. And, vehicle maintenance. Well, yeah, those all next week, Leslie and I are working to make sure that, our total expenses will exceed the level. There we go. There are about, I think, 4 to 6 houses so far that either have, very little water, poor water, or one house and there's no water. They're bringing pool water and filling up the well. Yeah. So not easy drinking, obviously, but at least. So we're working with Leslie's office on our state rep, trying to get the be involved, trying to see if there's anything. There's a water quality issue in there also, and people's pipes are being really copper tubing. One house had to replace all the pipes in their house.
Yeah, we've had lots of, we have copper.
Yeah.
What's left of the copper, which are copper.
Right.
Switched ours all the time.
Right.
We switched ours all the time.
That's the way to go. I mean, I wish they had that line.
So it's Chelsea Circle and where?
Country.
Why do I know that road?
I don't know, I don't,
Hmm?
I don't know what road.
But I can't.
Bethany Farms, and some of those houses have additions and in-law apartments and
Right.
everything. Does that have anything to do with the water?
Well, no, we've got, so far, I've talked to several people there, one person has a well that's 1,200 foot. And I think we get a half a gallon in it, it's. Oh, yeah, another person just dug about 1,000 foot well and got nothing. This was the second or third well in tried. So it's. Yeah.
There's a lot of wetland in there too.
Right, I don't know why, I don't know what causes it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it, it was, yeah, we got the Pullman Power. Discuss that on the session.
Anyone have questions about any of that? We're fascinated by the fact that there could be a water quantity issue in Bethany Farms, although those houses were. What the Wetlands Commission moved those lots before we had a buildable land standard. You would have needed more land. There just may be so many of them. Because
Lots of them.
what's happening.
Well, country lane, there's ours.
Yeah, and right, the only time we've ever lost water was when our neighbor decided to fill his pool with his hose. On the day that his daughter's graduation from college.
You're only supposed to do that a half hour a day.
So I, we should probably get porta potties, and she goes, oh no, that's disgusting. Okay, well, halfway through the party, we had no water, so boys, those are your bushes. Ladies, you're over here.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, they said, you might wanna stop drinking now.
I mean, some of the porta potties, at least now.
Yeah.
Nice, you know.
Well, if you're hiring them for your own private party, you know they're spotless when they get there.
Right.
But the neighbor, I mean, and I kept saying to my husband, you need to go say something.
Yeah.
He obviously doesn't know he's unwell. You sit in a-
Well, that's true. Sometimes people really don't understand what it means to be unwell.
Next to Levin's Tower.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the new neighbors have the sprinklers on the grass, like, you know, old neighbors.
I know.
I tried that, I put in irrigation, I haven't used it in 10 years or more, and tried it, the first year I tried it, they could bring it on.
Yeah.
Just, you know, boy.
Like, in 5 days, he brought pool water in,
Mhm.
Hey, really?
5 days. I think he ran out as well, and then kind of went,
There's a reason why those things exist.
All right, are we ready to move on? So what I would like to do is, I guess in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 1-200B6B and 1-210 small b 10, we want to go into executive session for the purpose of receiving an update from the first selectman and to discuss the Fulton and Conway's vendor bill. Could I have that motion?
oh, okay.
And I'll second
Okay. Then I would like to include, obviously, our first selectman, our finance director, and our town attorney. But we would be excusing our recorder day.
There's gonna be any, I don't think there's
I don't
gonna
think
be
there's,
action.
yes, so that you don't have to wait around.
And I'll just let you know what time we officially adjourn.
And we'll make a motion.
And we're coming come out of it.
Yes.
Wall throw.
I'll tell you all that if anyone is out there listening or later, if anybody is watching, as soon as we go down this, we are going to was the vote, please. In favor? So we will now go into executive session. What? Is that her? Sure, you can end it now.
Yeah, because we already said that we were going.
We'll let you know what time.
Yeah.
We're in executive session at 8:15, or we not yet?
No, she's